number 10, a comeback kid once thought to be washed up, but is now back on active duty.
M14. Type, semi or fully automatic rifle. Country of origin, United States. Caliber, 7.62 by 51 millimeter. Cartridge capacity, 20 rounds. Muzzle velocity, approximately 2,799 feet per second. Rate of fire, 700 to 750 rounds per minute.
In the late 1940s, U.S. Army tacticians began to analyze the performance and tactical deployment of their weapons during World War II. Their assessment would ultimately lead to the creation of a new battle rifle.
At the end of World War II, an American infantry rifle platoon might have an M1 rifle for the rifleman, a Browning automatic rifle in each squad, a Thompson or grease gun, submachine gun, all in one platoon. This made ordnance a real problem trying to get ammunition for all of these. So a decision was made to develop one weapon that would replace as many of those as possible. The result was the M14.
First fielded in 1957, the M14 was a tough customer. In trained hands, it was accurate to ranges of 800 yards.
The M14 is what I grew up in when I was in the Marine Corps, and I qualified with the weapon. And it is superb. It could work when it was wet, and it could work when it was sandy and it was muddy and filthy. And not only did it work, if you hit somebody with it, you're going to knock them down.
That stopping power came from the M14's big-hitting 7.62 millimeter round.
If you're walking through the swamps of Vietnam, up to your chin in warm mud, you can take tremendous comfort in the fact that the M14 puts down range a 7.62 millimeter NATO round that is capable of punching through the jungle, of punching through vegetation and still killing the Viet Cong or the NVA guy and killing the guy behind him.
But the M14 wasn't perfect. Soldiers in Vietnam struggled with the weight of the weapon and its ammunition. From 1964, it was gradually phased out, making it the shortest-lived battle rifle in U.S. military history. But despite being taken out of service, the M14 refuses to lie down and go away. Navy SEALs have adopted it as a specialized sniper rifle. And in Iraq and Afghanistan, old M14s were dusted off and sent into frontline duty.
In an urban situation and in the desert, they work a lot better than the lighter calibered M16. You take an M14 out of the warehouse, that M14 can be used to go through the sandbag and still tag somebody behind it. It can blow the door off the hinges.
The M14 has provided the U.S. military with a $1,000 solution to a $1 million question. Its accuracy is excellent. Combat effectiveness is also high. Innovation and handling are average, and despite its recent comeback, service length is low. That leaves the M14 at number 10 on our list.
Archaeologists in Peru have discovered the nearly 500-year-old skeleton of a man who died in a surprisingly modern way, from a gunshot wound to the head. A team of experts believes the man is the first documented victim of a shooting in the New World. The skeleton was uncovered by a team of archaeologists headed by Guillermo Koch, a National Geographic Society grantee who began excavating this ancient Inca cemetery in 2004. The Inca once ruled the entire Andes region until they were conquered by the Spanish in the 1530s. The scientists realized the cemetery was unusual when they found bodies buried in unexpected ways.
It was evident that they didn't follow the burial ritual. They were without the proper offerings Now the question is why these individuals have been buried in such an unusual way.
Many of the bones revealed fractures, puncture wounds, and signs of violent death. One skull stood out, marked with what appeared to be the entrance wound from a musket ball.
What's especially exceptional about this is not only that we have, in fact, the entrance wound, but also that I recovered the plug of bone that actually was in this position on the inside of the skull.
To test their theory, the team x-rayed the skull, searching for the metal fragments a musket ball would leave behind. When the x-ray came up negative, the scientists turned to a more sensitive tool. A scanning electron microscope hit pay dirt, revealing bits of iron embedded in the bone. It appeared that as the musket ball punched into the back of the skull and passed through the head, it left iron fragments deep inside the bone, which stayed there for some 500 years. Guillermo Koch believes the wound and the hastily buried bodies in the cemetery point to one conclusion. The victim was killed by a Spanish conquistador, wielding a primitive gun called an arquebus. The Inca battled the Spanish outside Lima in 1536, near the site of the graveyard. Koch believes that the bodies buried there are the first ever forensic remains from the battles of Spanish conquest.